Dale Earnhardt Inc. He is Earnhardt Jr.'s teammate, and what a last couple of races that Park has had, including his first ever Winston Cup pole. Dick, what happened to Dale Jr.?
Well, there's all kinds of colors of things and clothing in this grandstand, Mike, and he looked up there and thought one of those yellow jackets was the caution light. Backed out of it for just a second because here in Texas you don't want to mess around with a caution light. But look at him, he's doing fine. He's closing right back in on Pruett.
Well, he is, but that was a strange moment out there, really. I mean, they just slowed down, and Pruett just kept going, and everybody else started passing everybody else back there for that third, fourth, and fifth, sixth positions.
The one thing that is happening, though, the aid of Dale Earnhardt Jr. has caught Pruett again. He's tightened right up. As we go back to Matt Kenseth here and Rusty Wallace as they fight back in the pack.
This will be for 14th position. Last night's second place finisher against last week's Winston Cup winner. Let's go back to the front where you can see that Earnhardt Jr. is right on Scott Pruett. Now his favorite place to try to pass has been entering turn one. He can't get much lower on the racetrack than Pruett is, though, in turn three.
No, he's been getting a good run off of turn four, and that's what has allowed him to get up there going into turn one. Let's see if he's going to do it. Nope, I don't believe he'll do it this time.
Not going to happen. 16 laps complete. Two rookies lead the field. Scott Pruett and Dale Earnhardt Jr. with Steve Park in third. Here comes the lead. Earnhardt Jr. going to turn three.
And the crowd goes crazy on the front straightaway. They really pull for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got a lot of pressure right now, Steve Park, and he's got
he hits him and turns him around. Caution is out, and everyone else will drive through that smoke screen to the caution flag as Steve Park and Scott Pruett make contact.
Steve Park just barely touched him as they were entering out of turn four there, and it was just enough to turn him there.
Doesn't take much of a touch. At that point of the racetrack, you're almost out of control anyway, and just a little bit of a touch, and around he went. That's too bad. Scott Pruett had the best run going of his NASCAR Winston Cup career.
He had just given the low lane on the racetrack. Not given, but allowed Dale Earnhardt Jr. the bottom lane. Earnhardt Jr. went by for the lead. Steve Park tried to follow through. The hole closed up, and Pruett's car, you can't see the damage from this shot, but there is some. Roof flap, that's an aerodynamic device designed to keep the cars on the ground when they turn around, put their tail into the wind. The pit crew will knock that one back down into position, and hopefully Scott Pruett can stay in this race.
He's got a lot of damage there. The car is kind of doglegging down through there. The left rear, you can see, has a lot of damage there.
Let's have a look at what happened.
Steve Park in the one there, right there. They just barely make contact.
And around he goes. Kevin LePage did a good job of dodging it. Terry Labonte comes along, goes down to the inside. Here comes Dale Jarrett and Mike Skinner. Here it is again. Just a little bit of a nudge coming up right here. And that sent the back end of Pruett's forward around.
Let's show you what Ron Hornaday, or excuse me, what Dale Earnhardt Jr. saw in his mirror.
It's amazing there wasn't more contact there. They were leading the race. They were the first three cars, and it was a miracle that a lot of people didn't get caught up in that wreck.
Well, the best thing that happened there, buddy, was Pruett, after he hit the wall, was able to keep the car against the wall, and everybody else had a clear path down to the inside and to the caution flag.
As he comes into the pits, so does the rest of the field, all coming down to make those adjustments.
Well, let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to come in and take 4 tires. He is a little bit loose in and a bit tight coming out. They're going to try to adjust the car for that, in part with tire pressure at least. Crew now over the wall. Jackman, Jeff Clark, has the right side of the car up in the air. 4-tire change. Right front tire bounds toward the 32 car. And let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
Kevin LePage is in making changes on his car. He was a little loose off, so he's going to make an air pressure judgment, taking the air pressure down a little bit. Steve Park came in. He took the track bar down 1 round as well.
And a spinner as Elliott Sadler gets turned around. He got shuffled off the edge of the asphalt as everyone merged out coming out of their pit. And with all the rain last night, he was stuck in the mud.
And Mike, one thing that happened here, a lot of the cars that were running back in the pack only took on 2 tires. So they were coming down, they were pitting back down pit road. They were coming at a pretty good clip, and he was there, and he was coming out, and as you say, got clipped as, or was he coming in?
The traffic jam down pit road looked much like the one coming into the racetrack, and there is still a line of traffic of folks trying to get in. Well, this caution is the first one of the day. 19 laps are complete here in Texas. Welcome back to Texas. We're under caution. On this replay, watch the 1 of Steve Park and the 5, the red car, Terry Labonte. Everybody's trying to get out to that outside lane, and they just squeeze Elliott Sadler off into the grass, which is very wet.
Yeah, he was pitting on the far end of the pit, so he'd already made his pit stop and was coming out and just got squeezed over there. And there's Jeff Burton in the 99 car having to take evasive action there.
And remember, there's no tread on these tires, so they have no traction at all out there in the mud. Let's go to Steve Park's pit for an update and round.
Well, Mike, Steve Park has had a pretty aggressive start to this race, as you've noticed, and so NASCAR has gone on the radio to his crew chief and asked Steve, please settle down a little bit or we're going to keep an eye on you. So Steve Park, they're telling him to just ease up a little bit.
Yeah, the next thing he would see is a flag, and they'd come in and talk to him for a while. But, you know, he's just trying so very hard. He's got a great race car, and it's hard to put a governor on that.
All right, down in the first pit there of Scott Pruett down toward turn 1. He's lost a lap. He's been there in the pit so long. Dick, can they get it fixed?
Yeah, they're working on it, Mike. They're trying to straighten out the front end. The front wheels aren't pointing correctly, and here comes the green flag, and Pruett's not going to beat the pack out with that one. Ricky Rudd also in here to get the front end aligned in his car. There goes Pruett, and the crew is absolutely disgusted that they didn't get him out sooner.
We're back under green. Mike Skinner, Joe Nemechek, 2 of those cars that took on just 2 tires to gain track position. As Ned pointed out, they're going to battle Rusty Wallace for the lead.
Well, I know one thing. They hate to see that 31 out in front because at the sister track here in Atlanta, that car was a very dominant car with Mike Skinner. Had engine problems right near the end of the race, but he really had the car beat all day long.
Yeah, he was about to get his first NASCAR Winston Cup points victory.
So, Ned, we'll add him to your list at the top of the day of couldas, wouldas, and shouldas.
You're right.
As he came oh so close.
Rusty Wallace making a move on the inside there on Mike Skinner into turn 3.
Last week's winner becomes this week's leader. Skinner tightens it right up on his rear bumper.
And Rusty will get the 5 bonus points for leading a lap. For you fans that might not be familiar with NASCAR Winston Cup racing, any driver who leads a lap during the competition, whether it's in green flag conditions or under caution flag, gets 5 bonus points.
And Ned, that's the first lap that Rusty Wallace has ever led at Texas.
He's had some good runs here, but not out front.
Just behind these 2 guys that we're watching race very hard for the lead right now, the 22 of Ward Burton is moving in. Destroyed his car in practice here, took a backup, qualified with very few laps on it. Look at him go now. This car is really on the move right now, the 22 of Ward Burton.
Looks like he's able to keep it right down on the bottom of the racetrack, which is good at this point of the race. And there's Matt Kenseth right behind Ward Burton in the number 22, the Pontiac, and Matt Kenseth in the Ford number 17 right behind him. Kenseth doing a good job. He's another of the rookies.
Well, running up front is a good tonic. The last 2 finishes for Burton, 3rd at Bristol, and the win at Darlington. Dick Berggren has more.
But the car is not exactly the way Ward Burton would like it. Like, realize he only had about an hour's worth of practice in that race car because of demolishing his primary car. The problem, he can't feel the throttle. He has told the crew that he wishes he had a stiffer throttle spring in it. If there's any way to fix it, he'd like to have that happen. That would be a long pit stop.
Back for 13th place, Kenny Irwin. Felix Sabates, 42. Last year's winner of this race, Terry Labonte in the 5, and there's Steve Park battling. And here comes Park's boss and car owner, Dale Earnhardt, in the 3.
Wonder how you race your boss. Do you give him any slack? I don't think so. These guys race pretty hard against each other.
Well, tell me, you used to be Richard Petty's teammate. How did you race him?
Well, I knew one thing. If I wrecked him, I didn't have to go to Roundup to find out whether I had a job or not.
Bill Stevens.
Mike, a contrast in pit strategy in that last pit stop. Dale Earnhardt came in and took 4 tires. His crew chief, Kevin Hamlin, wanted to take a look at the tires coming off of that car to look at the wear, to help him later in the race to gauge what they would do. Rusty Wallace came in. They took 2 tires. Robin Pemberton was more interested in track position early in the race, and it worked. They picked up 9 spots.